feel that, right? You sense what's going on. You feel it in the air. Something is up with this Philadelphia Eagles team. Howie Vision has you under a spell. He's got everybody looking one way, focusing primarily on defense all off season, while quietly he's been preparing for something else. While everybody's talking about draft defense, he has been spending free agency money on defense and freeing up the offense. The Eagles have been giving us hints all off season, and we're just starting to realize it. Nick Sirianni overpraising running backs that he don't play. The owner talking about the importance of offense. This team is getting ready to go offense early and often in this draft, and it's going to shock the world.
Dallas still stinks.
Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here, and are you ready for the Eagles to shock the NFL and the world come draft night? Because Howie Roseman has been doing it again. He's a genius. It's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. While everybody has been so focused on the defense and looking over here, while we've been worried about players like Javon Hargrave going, C.J. Gardner-Johnson going, our linebackers going, and we've been so focused on defensive players in the draft, Howie Vision has been at work. Free agency. He's just quietly been patching holes on defense. Very quietly giving most of the money in free agency to the defensive side of the ball. Why? Because all along, Howie Vision and the Eagles knew that they were going to address offense early and often in this draft. And it makes total, complete sense. Now, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, most throttled Eagles content creator in all of the internet. And if you've been subscribed for a while, just double check, double moonwalk check. Make sure that you're still subscribed and everything is still a go. Now, I gotta say one more thing before we get started. Draft 5 hats are now being pre-ordered. If you would like to get yours, hit the link in the description and go ahead and get yourself one of these Draft 5 hats. We are making a push for Bijan Robinson. We believe we've got a shot at him, and we want to do everything we can to support Howie Roseman and this Eagles team for drafting Bijan Robinson. We need him in Philly. We want him in Philly, and these Draft 5 hats represent that. A lot of people inquiring about it so far. We've had a couple people already pick them up. You definitely don't want to miss it. We're going to probably have to cut off the orders by like April 14th, April 15th. That way you guys get the hats in time for the draft, which I will be streaming live, me and Joey Shakes, and you guys can watch the draft with us and make sure you have your Draft 5 hats on. But it is possible. It is very possible that the Eagles are going to shock the world with a running back. Matter of fact, I think they're shocking the world with the offense. And it just makes perfect sense. We have been so focused on defense. We have been thinking about defensive players. And all along, the Eagles have had a plan. They've given money to the defensive side of the ball. That's where most of the free agency money has gone. To the defensive side of the ball. They brought in one player. They brought in Rashad Penny from another team on offense. They restructured Lane Johnson. They had to re-sign Kelsey. That was something that they had to do. But other than that, they didn't address their offense at all. And it's not because they're totally content and happy with their offense. They know they lost one of their most explosive weapons on their team in Miles Sanders. Like Miles Sanders, don't like Miles Sanders, it doesn't really matter. The fact is, nobody can deny how explosive of a player he is. And that loss has not been filled, even with Rashad Penny. Now, maybe if Penny stays healthy, though, it'll happen. But he was a cheap signing, a guy to come in and be part of the rotation. He's insurance for if what they're going to try to do doesn't work out. But make no mistake about it, the Eagles are going to get a running back in this draft. No question. And listen, the Eagles are also going to draft defensive players. I'm not saying they're not going to draft defensive players. They are. They are. But I would say 2 of the first 3 picks, all right, 2 of the first 3, maybe 3 of the first 4 will be offense. The Eagles are going to go offense, and it's going to shock everybody. They brought in Nolan Smith. Kylie Ringo has come in for a visit. These guys have been in for visits because it's possible that the Eagles could go ahead and draft one of these guys. I can see a situation now. I totally believe that Bijan Robinson is in play at 10. Before, I thought, I don't think the Eagles will take him at 10. You got to trade up. And to be honest, that's still my dream case scenario, to get a defensive player at 10 and then trade up that first round pick. But now I'm thinking the Eagles may not do that. They may just go ahead and get Bijan Robinson at 10 and then turn around. And then maybe they try to hopefully get a guy like Nolan Smith, maybe a Kalijah Kancey. Let me tell you something about Kalijah Kancey, right? This kid's going to be a stud. This kid is going to be good. I really like Kalijah Kancey a lot. And I also think Kalijah Kancey is the perfect complement to Jordan Davis. And I would not be surprised if the Eagles do trade up in the first round. It's just for Kalijah Kancey. And with that 10th pick, they go offense. Listen, they may even go, that 10th pick may be even an offensive lineman. Okay, I'm not even going to discount that it's an offensive lineman. The Eagles could use depth at the offensive line. They just lost Sayamalu. We all expect Cam Jurgens to go over to right guard, and I think he can do that and he can play. But you can never have too many offensive linemen. They might want to get a right tackle for the future because of Lane Johnson. It could happen. It would not surprise me. Could they go and get a wide receiver in the first round at 10? Could they do that? That one is a little harder for me. However, you can't rule anything out with Howie at this point. But I think that would be a little harder, only because they've signed A.J. Brown to big money, and they gave up a first-round pick for him. They gave up a first-round pick for Devontae Smith. Essentially, if you think about it, the last 3 years in a row, the Eagles have acquired a wide receiver using a first-round pick. So I think that most likely that is not going to happen in the first round with the wide receiver. However, offensive lineman and a running back, one Bijan Robinson, make total sense to me, and I think that's where the Eagles are going to lean. And it was funny. I was talking to a friend, and he's a big believer in going after Bijan Robinson, and we were talking about whether the Eagles draft running backs in the first round because it's a big no-no in the league, right? It's a big no-no, and I would say this: I think the view. See, I'm kind of confused on the whole view of what people feel about Bijan Robinson, because part of me thinks that a lot of people really want him and they're hoping the Eagles do it, but they don't want to get their hopes up, and they also don't want to, in their mind, go against the grain, go against what everybody else is saying. Don't get a running back. You don't get a running back in the first round. I think a lot of people, they hold back because of that. I just tell you what I think. I may be right, I may be wrong. I never claim to be right all the time. I'm wrong a lot of times. I could be totally wrong about this, and a lot of you guys think I will be, and that's totally fine. I respect it. But I got to tell you what's on my heart and what I'm thinking. And my thought is that I think people don't want to acknowledge it because, one, it goes against the grain of what a lot of people say. But I was talking to somebody, and they're saying, when you look at the Eagles and you look at when they wanted Christian McCaffrey, right? They were going to draft him in the first round. They really wanted to get Christian McCaffrey in the first round. And the talk back then was that Christian McCaffrey is more than just a running back. They're not drafting him because he's a running back. They don't look at him and say, yeah, that's a running back. He's a running back. They look at him as a weapon, as a guy that you can use all over the place, a weapon to match against the defense. If the Eagles see Bijan Robinson as a weapon, they're going to draft him. They're going to draft him. If they see him purely as just a running back, maybe they don't. But whether they draft him, whether they draft the offensive lineman, I think the Eagles are going 2 of the first 3 picks, I think they're going offense. I think probably an offensive lineman and a running back. They may go offensive line at 10. Okay, there are a couple offensive linemen that could fall to 10. I don't think this team would have any problem taking them. And then in the second round, maybe you take a wide receiver then. Maybe you take a running back then. It's possible. The Eagles are going to address the offense more so than the defense. Otherwise, you're talking about a team, if you think about it, that goes out in free agency, spends most of its money on defense, then goes into the draft and spends most of its resources on defense. For a team who has an owner who comes out and says that the offense is always the priority, that doesn't seem logical. Now, maybe Lurie was throwing us off. I don't think so. It's always been known that Lurie is really big offensive guy. He wants an explosive offense. He wants an offense that scores a lot of points. He prefers to have an offense that passes the ball. But this is what he believes in, and this is what the Eagles believe in. They are not going to go and waste all their resources. Not waste, but they're not going to go spend all their cap money in free agency on defense and then turn around and draft all defense early on. It's not going to happen. All right? They are going to feel that they can patch their defense, and as long as their offense is good, they're going to win games. That's exactly what they feel. It makes so much sense. It's just obvious, okay? And here's the thing. Oh, crap. What the hell was I thinking? Oh, man. What was I going to say? I was saying, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I forgot what I was going to say. Dang it. But anyways, the Eagles, they have put a lot into the defense already. They are going to put resources in this offense because the offense, at the end of the day, is what they consider their strong point and their bread and butter. And if you get a guy like Bijan Robinson and they look at him as a weapon, they're going to get him. I keep bringing him up only because I have him ranked number 1. But even if they look at Jamar Gibbs as a weapon, they're going to draft him. All right, they are going to draft offense early and often in this draft because they spent as much as they want already on defense. They've already spent a lot in free agency. And let me tell you, you get guys like Nicholas Morrow, the linebacker they just signed from Chicago. That was a steal. That was an absolute steal. And I think he's going to play as good or if not better than T.J. Edwards. He's going to. So I see a situation where the Eagles go offense with the first pick. Let's say Bijan Robinson, first pick. And then they come back. They take a Kalijah Kancey. Maybe they hope Nolan Smith is dropping. They take a guy like that on defense. They'll get a defensive lineman because that's what they like to do, defensive lineman. And then they go into the second round, and they're going to take an offensive lineman or a wide receiver. It's the way they're going to play it. 2 of the first 3 picks, prediction, will be offense. That's the way the Eagles are going to do it. It makes so much sense, just sitting here and thinking about it. I personally focusing on one player. It's more than one player. It could be several different players, but the Eagles are looking to upgrade their offense, and that's the truth. So what do I expect in this draft? I expect the Eagles to go early and often offense, and then, they'll add a defensive player here or there. And then next off season, I think it's more than likely the Eagles spend money in free agency on offense, and then they go heavy in the draft on defense. Just because a draft is defensive loaded or offensive loaded, the Eagles have shown in the past they don't care about that. You go back to the Andre Dillard draft. That draft, it was supposed to be defensive. There was way more defensive players. It was a defensive draft. So all everybody talked about, defensive draft. And what happened? The Eagles went offense with the first 3 picks. Why? Because everybody was drafting defense, and it left valuable offensive players to be drafted. This team is going offense in the first round. Who are they going to draft? I don't know. I put Bijan Robinson out there. I know that's a name that's popular with me. It could be a lot of other guys. But I think the Eagles offensively is where they're going to go this draft. It's going to be interesting. We are going to see, and I think it's going to be great. I really like guys like Kalijah Cansey and Nolan Smith. I do, and I think somebody like that will end up with this Eagles team. I think we'll get one good defender out of it, but I think that this team is definitely going to address offense in this draft. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat, and remember, it's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. So I wanted to update one of my previous videos that I did, and it was yesterday. We were talking about Agent Zero and the fact that the Eagles can now have a player wear the number 0. And I said I thought Lane Johnson should wear it because Lane Johnson doesn't give any sacks. He gives up 0 sacks. Well, it turns out, and I found this out through many of you guys, shout out to you who let me know, he can't wear 0. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen cannot wear 0. Maybe if they approve double 0, but he can't wear just regular 0. So the question would be, who wears 0 for the Eagles? If I can't have Lane Johnson, I'm going to say, if the Eagles draft Bijan Robinson, I want my running back to wear it. If it's Jamar Gibbs, I would love him to wear it. I would love to see one of my running backs wear 0 and then be, nicknamed Agent Zero. I think that would be very, very cool. Denzel Washington out.